فكلي واشربي وقري عينا فإما ترين من البشر أحدا فقولي إني نذرت للرحمن صوما.
Hey everyone, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the Islamic Mary podcast. So for today, I want to reflect on a recent trip to the American Academy of Religion conference. So this is a conference every single year in different locations. Last year was in San Antonio. This year was in San Diego. And this is the largest scholarly society dedicated to the academic study of religion, with more than 6,000 members around the world. The mission is to foster excellence in the academic study of religion and enhance the public understanding of religion as well. So this is a conference where a lot of people who are interested in the study of religion, professors, chaplains, independent scholars, they all come to this conference. They present in different units and sessions, and they get to go to the book exhibit and see what's the newest books in the study of religion. Now, the American Academy of Religion is a membership organization, so anyone could be a member. You pay the dues, you vote, you participate in the elections, and then you're invited to come to the conference. And the AAR is focused on North America, but it has an international wing. So I've actually helped scholars come to the AAR from Germany, also from different parts of the Middle East. And it's a great opportunity for them to have exposure, present their ideas, get feedback, and then go back to their home countries. And as the mission statement of the AAR states, is to foster excellence in the study of religion and enhance the public understanding of religion. And this is something I believe that is new. Initially, around 15 years ago, when I started going to the AAR, they were really focused on academia. People would go there to get jobs, move up the tenure track, try to become associate or a senior tenured professor, try to get a chair of Islamic studies or religious studies. But there's been a bigger push for the public understanding of religion. So, for instance, this year, there was a session on podcasting. So many people who are now coming to the AR, they're not in tenure track jobs or necessarily chairs of departments or special chairs of religious studies, but they're people who are interested in religion and contributing to the study of religion and understanding of religion, but they're not in the traditional academia. In many ways, they're considered to be alt-ac or alt-academic. And as the mission statement continues to read, we're committed to promoting academic excellence, professional responsibility, free inquiry, critical examination, diversity, inclusion, respect, and transparency within academic study of religion and in our own work. So this is the mission and vision of the AAR. And the history of the AAR is also fascinating. Initially started as the Association for Scholars of Biblical Studies, so people who are studying the Bible and also teaching it. However, today, the AAR supports those who study any and all religions. So you have the study of Islam, the study of Buddhism, Hinduism, Christianity, Judaism. We are not a faith-based organization, so it's not necessarily focused on promoting a particular faith. Rather, it's trying to understand religion as a whole. The expertise of our membership spans virtually all religions, and we neither endorse nor condemn any religious belief or practice. So there is this idea within the AAR is that the more the public better understands religion and religious literacy, the better the world can be in terms of coexistence, as well as self-understanding and progress. So since I've been going to the AAR, I've seen a lot of transition. So I first started going there in my graduate years, so in 2008, 9, and 10. And I was really interested in presenting my dissertation work, trying to network, get a job. And I was successful, thank God, in getting my first job, a postdoc at Millsaps College. Then later I went and found a job at the AAR and taught at Allegheny College for a couple of years before I moved to my current position at Shenandoah University. So AAR was that space where I got to meet other scholars from the field, meet other graduate students, network, go to the book exhibit, see what was hot and interesting, and see what the new trends were. People at the time were really fascinated in Quranic studies, and I got involved with the Quran and Bible. I met people who were interested in both. The AR actually has a session. It convenes with the Society of Biblical Literature, and I actually started going to both the AR and the SBL and became active in the AR Quran unit as well as the unit between the Society of Biblical Literature and AR that focused both on the Quran and biblical studies. So over the couple of years, there's been a big shift. So if you go, especially now after COVID, there isn't that job center. So that job center that I went to get my first job no longer exists. Many people are now interviewing for jobs over Zoom, and they no longer actually go to the AR for their first interview. Rather, people do the interviews over Zoom and then maybe go to the actual campus to get an interview. Also, as I mentioned, there isn't as much of a market. So when I first got into the job market and when I first started my PhD in Arabic Islamic Studies, there was this big push after 9/11 to better understand religion, because there was this misunderstanding between Islam and the West, and there was this need that many students had of taking classes on Islam and Arabic, and that actually led for me to get my first job in Islamic studies as well as Middle Eastern studies. However, there's been a shift. So after the Great Recession and COVID, there's been a large focus on jobs. Many students are going to university not only to better understand themselves, but they want a future career. They want to take a major that has a path to a sustainable job. So even at my university, we have degrees in nursing, in cybersecurity, criminal justice. So something that a student can take a couple of years of and then find a job. So other majors like religious studies or history or English are seeing a major decline. So many people are like, well, if I get a job in English, for instance, what job is out there for English folks? Am I going to be an English teacher or a professor? If I get a job in religious studies, where is that going to land me? So there is this big discussion among students that if I'm going to spend 4 years of my life and I'm going to spend thousands of dollars and potentially go into debt, then what degree am I going to have? So there's been a big shift from when I first started going to the AR to now. And you can see that in the field, that when you go around and talk to people, people are trying to rethink religious studies, and they're trying to think, where is the future of the American Academy of Religion? So for instance, I met a professor that majored in religious studies but is pivoting to environmental studies. So she started off as a traditional professor of religious studies, helped out with religious life even, and now is shifted after her department closed down. She moved now to environmental studies, and her key and primary department is environmental studies, and she teaches regarding religion and the environment and environmental ethics, and she's happy in that position. However, she still comes to the AR because she's interested in the topics, and it builds upon her graduate education. I also saw some professors there moving into administration. So there are not that many jobs as a religious studies professor, but maybe there are other positions that someone who is good at project management or being able to direct particular programs is able to do. So a lot of professors now are moving into positions like deans or administrators. I met one professor who is working for a seminary, and instead of teaching like a full professor would, maybe 2 classes a semester or even 3, they are now teaching 1 class per semester, and they are helping administer the program and interacting more with students. I saw and met a professor who lost their job, that they had a religious studies position, became a full professor. However, the university said, well, we are no longer moving in the direction of religious studies. There's no majors and only a handful of minors. We're going to cut the department, and now he's trying to figure out what's my next step. And he's thinking about moving into positions regarding dialogue and looking at positions that are called now director of dialogue. How can you create civic dialogue within universities, especially around hot button issues and with our polarized political environment? And at the same time, I met professors who are doing well. They're on the tenure track. They just got promoted or tenure. They're now associate professor. Some professors are chairs of Islamic studies and religious studies at different universities. And they're happy within their positions. They haven't seen a major shift, but they also see the field moving around them. When I go to the AR, I'm personally interested in my unit. So I hang out primarily in the Quranic Studies unit. I go and listen to sessions regarding the Quran and tafsir, or the exegetical tradition. I also sometimes go to the Society of Biblical Literature sessions regarding the Bible and the Quran. And I'm also a steering committee member of Interreligious Studies. And as we discussed previously in the podcast, Interreligious Studies is a subset of religious studies, and it is more practical and career focused. So one of the criticisms, as we talked about, is that religious studies is very theoretical and abstract, where interreligious studies is very cognizant and aware that many of our students need jobs, they're looking for jobs, and they're interested in navigating religious difference. And one of the things that we talk about in interreligious studies is that if you take classes in religion and interreligious studies, you'll be able to navigate the workplace and work in a diverse team that most likely will be global and remote. Also, interreligious studies is something that is unique because it talks about the interaction between various religions. So it's not simply about Islam or Christianity, but how do those different religions interact? And as you know, many of my work focuses on interreligious studies, whether that's Christian, Muslim, and Jewish relations. Also, one of the things that's fascinating about interreligious studies and some of the panels I attended this last year at the conference was the focus on Islamophobia and anti-Semitism. So we've seen an uptick, especially after October 7th, 2023, of anti-Semitism, of Islamophobia. Many Muslims and Jews don't feel comfortable on campus. They feel that they're targeted. There may be certain signs or statements made that they make them feel threatened or unwelcome. So we had a panel on that. There was also another panel that we organized on Christians' imagination of the others. So how do Christians think about non-Christians? And what is the history behind that? Of course, there's a long history, whether from the beginning of Christianity to the Crusades to the modern period. How do Christians think about those people who are not Christian or the unsaved? Do they think of a binary world where they are Christian and there are people who need to be baptized and to see Christ as a savior? Or do they have a more nuanced view, as we saw earlier with Jordan Denary Defner in the interview, that maybe God works through non-Christians, or even non-Christians embody the Spirit? And we also had a really fascinating workshop. So one of the things we're really cognizant about in religious studies is trying to make our work practical. So we had a workshop where we had different sessions, one on emerging scholars, one on pedagogy, which I had the opportunity to moderate, and then one on the latest research. So people would go to these different tables and they would hang out and speak in small groups. So instead of the traditional session where we have a lecture or a series of panelists, we had a really nice small group to talk about some of these issues and see how we can come to particular solutions. Also, I had the opportunity to meet with my publishers. So when you go to the American Academy of Religion, one of the big draws is the book exhibit. You get to go there and see books from all over, from different presses, and on different topics. And many people go just for the book exhibit, right? Just to see what is new and trending. And a lot of scholars go there to meet their publisher. And this is an opportunity for them to actually showcase their work, maybe try to get a new book contract, and then think about new opportunities. So I met first with my publisher from Blueberry Press, and they were very happy with how my first book, The Quran and Bible, Biblical Figures in the Islamic Tradition, is doing. They said that the book is being used in classes, it's a textbook now, and many people are just buying it off Amazon who are interested in the topic. So they're interested in putting together a second edition of the book, and we are going to expand it. So we're going to expand the introduction, we're going to expand the explanation of certain characters like Abraham, Ibrahim, Moses, Musa, Mary, Maryam. And we're going to try to talk more about the Qasas al-Anbiya, or the stories of the prophets. How do the Islamic tradition understand these various figures, and how they're relevant to Muslim life and culture. So I was really happy with that meeting. It was very productive. We're trying to aim to have this revised edition out by 2026, and it will be hopefully showcased at the AAR. The second meeting I had was with Fortress Press, and as I discussed earlier on the podcast, Fortress Press is the press that I have contracted with for my new book on Islamic Mary. So the book hopefully will come out in fall 2025, and it will be ideally showcased at the AR and at the booth. I have to work hard and then submit the manuscript soon. Then it goes through a draft process. There's some edits, and then it goes to printing and publication, which takes several months. So it was great to finally meet my editor in person. I've obviously interacted with them for several months virtually, but this was the first time I actually got to meet my editor and get to know them more on a personal level, see what's on their mind, what suggestions they have for the book, and how we can make it most relevant and to the most number of people. So that was a highlight of the convention, getting an opportunity to go to the Fortress Press booth, see what new books are coming out. And one of the things that my editor mentioned is that they're trying to beef up. So Fortress Press historically has been a press that focuses on Christianity and also the church. And they want to expand and include Islam and interreligious and interfaith studies. They only have a handful of books that talk about Islamophobia or the art of preaching within Islam, as well as Muslim American spirituality. And they're hoping this book will fit this niche of folks within the university, but as well as people in the church and in the mosque that are interested in harmonious relationship between the various religious traditions, and also people who want to learn more about Maryam as a Muslim or Maryam as a Christian who may be interested in how Mary is received in other religious traditions. I'm really excited about that meeting and looking forward to getting the book out very soon. So once again, it was a wonderful convention and opportunity to go to AAR, really get an opportunity to meet people who are really interested in the study of religion in the academic and public realm. And then it was wonderful to actually meet people in the field who are being creative and innovative, trying to make pivots, as well as senior scholars and those who I know from grad school who are moving along on the tenure track. And probably the highlight for me was to go to the book exhibit, see the different books that are coming out on religious studies, especially interreligious studies and Islamic studies, and then meet with the various publishers and have a game plan for publishing the next series of books. Thanks once again for listening to the Islamic Mary podcast. Once again, feel free to subscribe to the podcast, encourage your friends, students, and colleagues to do so as well. You can always email me, text me, tell me what you think, any ideas for future episodes. You feel free to review this podcast. I'm really grateful that we've already had 5 reviews of this podcast. I would encourage you, even right now, just to send it to someone and say, hey, this is a great podcast. This is something I've really benefited from. If there's a particular episode you really like, share it right now with a friend or a colleague. And lastly, visit my website and my newsletter, where I'll be updating you on these publications of these various books, as well as some new articles and blogs that should be coming out. Thanks once again, and take care.